Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Screen Peeking, a weekly podcast where Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games. Uh, this is Ziggy Hickson right over there. You can find him just about anywhere at Ziggy Hickson. You can find me at Nick Loeb just about everywhere as well. Um, Today, we're going to talk about a few things and just kind of give our impressions on our last week's Game Club game. That's what we're calling it, Game Club. We
Game
uh,
Club.
we decided to play a game called Crossing Souls, a smaller indie game that we hadn't heard of before and looked interesting. We did a little bit of homework this week and played it a bit, and got some stuff to say about it at the end of this episode. So, Ziggy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a chill few days. Um, we are kind of overhired at work right now, so I've been
Oh,
having a lot more time off than expected, which is a bit of a double-edged sword. But it is kind of nice
right.
having extra days off. But yeah, I've been playing games. I've been hanging out. Been playing a lot of Rocket League lately. Been
Oh,
been playing
really?
a lot of ranks lately. Yeah, me and my friend we got back into it, and for some reason, because we've always kind of never touched ranked in that game with like a 10-foot pole, because the few times we do, we just kind of get too into it, and then it stops being fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we've been doing that a bit more, and it has been able to keep it fun. But yeah, started getting into like gold and now plat in a few modes, which is fun. I feel like I'm finally starting to like improve in that game after. Oh God, like 4 years of playing it, I've been at the same skill level until like the last few months. Now I'm finally becoming like somewhere half decent at it, which is a nice feeling.
Is it so it must be super fun then. I just have never heard much like anyone who's played it.
Rocket League?
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of yeah, actually no, Rocket League. No, I am thinking the right one. Yeah. I know tons of people play it, but I'm just like
Yeah,
I've not talked to anybody who's like, yeah, I play this.
that's so funny. Yeah, no, it's definitely it hit like over 1 million concurrents recently, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely still hugely popular. But yeah, no, if you want to jump in, it's free now. So like it's the number one strength of Rocket League, I feel like, is onboarding players. Because I mean, there's a lot of other really competitive games, like Overwatch or CS:GO or something. It takes a while to really learn how to like actually play it and become
Hmm.
somewhat competent. But with Rocket League, like it's so simple. You just drive and hit the ball into the goal, which like it's
Hmm.
really really simple to learn, but it takes forever to actually get like halfway decent at it. Like you'll suck for so long, but it's still fun even when you're garbage at it. It's a lot of fun.
Have you played any of the crossplay event in Apex at all?
Yeah, so Apex has been. I talked about being excited about this last episode. Apex has been a mess lately with this. It's kind of
Really?
unfortunate. For days now their servers have just been in tatters. You can definitely tell it's in beta, but I kind of wish you could just like opt
Turn it
out. I
off.
mean, you can opt out of crossplay, but the servers are still messed up either way.
Yeah, that's too
Um,
bad.
yeah, yeah, but I mean the skins are cool. I think you can party up with people cross-platform, but I'm not really sure. I haven't been able to get that to work. And also, like the reason I was excited about it is because I want to play Apex on my computer with my friends. Um, but that game just will not run properly on my computer. It's the strangest thing. Like it's basically if I don't touch the mouse, it runs fine. Like great, like 80 frames per second or something.
Right.
But then the moment I move the mouse, it hitches every time. Like it just hitches constantly whenever I move the mouse. And so I've tried so many things. I've uninstalled it, reinstalled it. I have no idea what's wrong with it. If anyone's watching
That's
this, if you have a
bizarre.
solution, please tell me. It's so weird. It's so frustrating. Um, but yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm happy it's there. I've seen it working for other people. Um, but yeah, no, it's a cool event. The mode they added too, the like flashpoint or whatever, it's really cool because basically the circle is like constantly shrinking the whole time. So it's not like where it goes and then stops and goes and stops. So it's
Mm,
really fast paced. And there's like certain zones on the map that will heal you automatically when you're in there.
right.
So it sort of like funnels people into these certain sections as it goes because it's you want to be in those sections and people can kind of control those. And I don't know, it's just really like fast paced and fun and plays pretty different from the standard game, which is cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have variety and be able to like do
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
different while still playing the same game.
Hmm.
I really still want to get back into that game. They just need to, but that doesn't sound fun. Having a mess like servers that aren't working and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. A few weeks from now, I'm sure it'll be a little. I'm hopefully less than a few weeks. It's already definitely been better than it was before. But that first day, it was like you'd go into the menu and then try to matchmake and just like get booted out 3 times before you could finally find a match. It was a mess.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
So you've been playing a bunch of Rocket League. You said you're playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake too.
Yeah, yeah. I'm super close to finishing that game. I've been like in the last stretch for a while now. I just need to finally like push through and get to it. Um, but yeah, no, I'm still loving that game. I've been feeling more like motivation, I guess, to play more Final Fantasy games. 16 has definitely been like I first I was like, oh yeah, it looks cool, but now I'm getting more and more hyped for that as time goes on. I'm really excited for it.
They're
and especially
getting, yeah.
like they're getting me, and like I've heard so many good things about Final Fantasy 14, but I just don't really want to play it because it's an MMO. You know, I'm just not really into that style of gameplay. But the fact that it is like the same producer, I think it's very similar. Like Yoshi P is working on this one as well, which is cool because like he clearly knows how to make a really good Final Fantasy game. But having that mesh with a style of gameplay I enjoy more is gonna appeal to me like a lot better, I think. And yeah, I'm super hyped for it. And I've
Awesome.
been even kind of I've had because I know the original Final Fantasy VII is on Game Pass, and I've kind of been like eyeing it now because I've been thinking about playing it. I don't know. I
Do
highly
it.
doubt I'll actually finish it, but I've been thinking about installing it.
I've been thinking about it too, and I've never played through a Final Fantasy in my life, but I do want to play 16. That already got me when I saw dragons. but I'm easy like that. So Ziggy, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese, they've gotten to me.
They
I've
have?
started playing Genshin Impact. Like
Uh-oh.
tons, and it's not a game I would have thought I would play. It
Yeah.
is. I'm dying laughing when I think about it. I just go like, I can't believe this is something I'm doing right now and playing this
Yeah.
much. Like this game has taken
Mm-hmm.
over my spare time
That's
to
so
almost
funny.
a bad level. So like I've finally got that hump or gotten over that hump where I'm like, okay, I'm getting myself back in check. I've started to
Mm-hmm.
let
Mm-hmm.
myself go here. Got a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of shaving I need to do and everything. But yeah, like that game, the gameplay is so fun and microtransactions are practically non-invasive at all. And that was something I
That's
was
really
not
good to hear.
expecting. And
Yeah,
just to play
especially
a
for a
game
gotcha
that
game like that.
for someone like you who's like me and loved Breath of the Wild,
Mm-hmm.
this game totally scratches that itch for me right now.
Huh.
It's single player. It's not like some big MMO. You can play co-op.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's much of a point right now. You can only do a couple things,
Mm-hmm.
and the co-op person can't do much in your world. But you can just explore. The world is interesting. Like there's a lot of cool things to look at, and just like
Mm-hmm.
in Breath of the Wild, you'll run into camps of like goblin guys or whatever. You wipe them out, the chest unlocks, and you get all the items in the chest. Continue. All the
Mm-hmm.
gear you get though, it it isn't useless. So you can get a duplicate of a ton of all your different items, and none of those duplicates are pointless. Whereas usually in a game that has loot dropping and stats and all that stuff, that would be kind of pointless. You go, well, this one has a higher attack damage. I don't need this
Mm-hmm.
other one. But you can actually infuse those worse versions into your stronger version of your weapon to level it up. And you can level up your weapons, level up your characters, level up their moves, and choose a team of characters that all have their different elemental affinity, so fire, wind, earth, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
depending on what characters you have in your team, you can have up to 4. And if you choose, say, 2 fire, it'll give your whole team a 25% increase in attack damage.
Huh.
And if you choose 2 water, which you could have alongside the 2 fire, then it'll do something else. Oh, or you can just do 1 of each element, and that gives you 15% elemental resistance for the whole team. Things like that, where it's
Huh.
like you can really get deep into it, or you can just
Yeah.
purely just focus on, I'm just gonna go around and explore the world, collect all the there's tons of little collectibles that you bring to your little towers, and then cash them in, and you'll get increased stamina. Just like in Breath of the Wild, you use stamina for gliding and for climbing, and you can climb almost anything again. just animations aren't quite as good. But
Mhm,
that kind of
mhm,
thing, it totally sucked me in, and I'm like, hey, these are my favorite kind of characters. I got just a quick cooldown ability, and I got an alt ability, and then I got my left click regular sword attack or whatever weapon you're using. And like
mhm,
so your characters either have a sword, a spear, a like huge ass sword, or a bow and
mhm,
arrow, or some kind of catalyst, I guess, like a spell book or something. And yeah, you
mhm.
just choose your characters, choose what ones you like, level them up, find the materials that you need to level them up, and there's a story and everything. Yeah. Anyways, I've been totally sucked into it, as you can tell, but it's a ton of fun and totally a good like waste of time. I'll watch a show on the side, play it, and then it's on the phone too. So I got my saves. I'll play on the computer, then go to the living room and watch a show or movie with Taylor, and just kind of play on my phone, do my little daily
Mhm,
activities.
mhm.
Yeah, it's been a
Can you
blast.
play it on mobile?
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
didn't know that.
I prefer not to, but it's totally
Yeah,
doable.
yeah.
Like combat is almost impossible on the harder difficulties,
Mhm.
but
It does have like cross progression?
yeah, like I just log into
That's
my same
super nice,
account,
actually.
and
That's really nice.
yeah, so like in my opinion, the phone is perfect for exploring. You're like, I just want to go collect
Mhm,
some chests. I want to go get those collectibles, increase my stamina. I want to check out this one area of the world. Perfect time for that. You want to do some combat things? Go on your computer. So yeah, that's been me. That's been me this week.
yeah,
Other than
the reception of that game has been super interesting to me because I remember when it got revealed and it was just a like very loud like this is stupid, like this is such an obvious cash grab, like what even is
yeah,
this?
that was my opinion.
And yeah, and going from that to where it is now, where I mean like you're not the only person I've heard who's like, oh, this is actually surprisingly really fun, like this is
Hmm.
different enough from Breath of the Wild that it feels like it has its own identity but still um like scratches that same itch.
Hmm.
Like so yeah, for me, like the main reason why I love Breath of the Wild is those like you remember the first time that you saw a dragon in that game and just how
Hmm.
much of an experience that was, or like those really crazy like holy shit moments that you could completely miss. Like that was what really drew me into that game. So does Genshin Impact have sort of similar moments in it, or
For me, I would say there's a couple. Yeah, there's
hmm,
for the first bunch of hours, it's just a lot of, oh, this is like the shrines in Zelda. This is like this in Zelda, and a lot of
mhm,
comparisons. And then you start to realize how the combat's more in depth. Like there's a lot more to building a
mhm,
team, and there's a lot more uh, depth to everything in the
mhm,
game than Zelda. Zelda is a very basic version, but
mhm,
it's also Zelda, and that's always going to be
mhm,
better to me. This is still so good, and I would highly recommend just trying it out because it's free.
mhm,
And
mhm,
for what as to what you were saying, there are situations that I've stumbled across that I was like, oh, I could have totally missed this, and I got to experience it because I explored, or I went to an area. I
mhm,
found an island that wasn't on the map, and I just was exploring. And
mhm,
I could see it on the horizon, and I tried getting across the water. Made my ice character freeze the water constantly until I got all the way over, and then it like turns out to be this cool little secret thing I was way under leveled for.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
like things like that, that there are cool things that you could totally miss and that you can
Mhm,
experience for sure. And then there's like little,
mhm,
oh, you got that item because you talked to that person, or you found that chest of money because you explored and climbed that house, went behind, and you went into this inside, and you're like, oh, that's cool, that's
mhm.
there. So they definitely have attention to detail, and really the art style, and there is a lot ripped from Zelda, but I don't feel like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't I feel like they've done enough actually different to make me stop feeling that way, because that was my first
Mhm,
reaction. And then now as I'm playing it, I'm like, no, this is totally scratching all the itches I need, or all the things I needed it
mhm,
to do for a game that I want to fill the Zelda hole in my heart for now. And yet still doing something different that I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's catching me off guard, that's catching me off guard. I like putting, getting enemies all wet, and then freezing them with ice after, and then doing all kinds of combinations like that. So
yeah, yeah. I'll give me one sec. I
yep,
thought there wouldn't be anybody home right now, but I can hear some people upstairs. I'm gonna close my door real quick.
sure. Hi, it's Nick. I'm just gonna keep talking while Ziggy closes the door. So, how are you doing? I hope you're having a great day. Uh, yeah, here he is.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I'm
welcome
back.
back. Okay, so enough of me talking about Genshin Impact. Let's go on to something else I want to talk about. Uh, I briefly want to touch on some news that came out from PlayStation recently, within the last week, about trophies and how they're changing and the trophy level. My understanding is you're not super into chasing after trophies or achievements, and I'm normally not either. The one thing I
Hmm.
wanted to say is they're going from a 1 to 100 level scale to I
Hmm.
believe it's a 1 to 999 levels scale. And so
Huh.
all your trophies in the game, whether it's bronze, silver, gold, or a platinum trophy, will go towards your progress in leveling you up. I just
Hmm.
wrote down here my level originally was level 9. I don't have that like a ton of achievements. I think it's like to me it's a lot, but it's like 500 and something. And
Yeah, yeah.
I ended up at level 165 it looks like.
Hmm.
So for me, I think it's really cool because it gives to find out that 999 is actually the only way you can have a little like uh platinum trophy icon beside your level makes me
Hmm.
go, "Oh, I want to have that beside my profile." I just like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like having little ways to make your profile look glamorous. That's what I
Yeah, yeah.
like. And I don't care about trophies typically, but to know that if I was close to getting one, I'd be like, "Oh, if I just get that extra few things, I can get another trophy." Or if I just
Hmm.
complete this one, apparently platinums work more towards the progress of your level than any of them. So like if I want to complete
Hmm.
a game, I'm going to complete a game now. And like I just think
Hmm.
that's a really cool incentive. I for me, I being someone who doesn't normally hunt this stuff down unless it's one of my favorite games. Like literally
Hmm.
my only PlayStation 4 or my only PlayStation game that I have platinumed is BioShock 1. That's it. Uh
Yeah.
to know that there's a reason to platinum other games now other than like I don't care about a level necessarily, but I care about having a little badge. That's something that matters to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
weirdly enough. So I just thought that was really cool. That being said, there's nothing like that on Xbox. They, I think PlayStation's now adding the ability on PlayStation 5 at least. They're going to have the ability to track your progress on your trophies or your just like how on Xbox you can track your achievements. You can see I'm at 28 out of 30
Hmm.
bow and arrow headshots or whatever.
Hmm.
And they don't have that right now on for trophies, but when they add that in, like that's going to be pretty much on par with Xbox on the experience of
Hmm.
a unlockable achievement, for the lack of a better term, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's going to be cool to track. For me, when I play on Xbox, I like in achievements. I just like seeing like, oh, I did this thing and seeing the percentage. They have a little diamond icon, right?
Yeah,
By the
yeah.
ones that are like
Yeah,
really
hearing the
rare.
like the really like crazy like the rare achievement sound when you do something is always satisfying.
Yeah, I think they're like as long. I think it's all under 5% success rate for like out of everyone
Hmm.
who has it. I might be wrong, but I think it's
Hmm.
really low like that. And I
Hmm.
like the sound and everything, but it doesn't really have a way to show I got this many diamond trophies or achievements or whatever. I want
Hmm.
something more to where I can go, here, look at my badge. I don't want to just see gamer score. I don't care about a number.
Hmm.
I want a little icon. So, anyways, I never
Hmm.
realized I wanted that until hearing the PlayStation news. What do
Hmm.
you think of this?
For me that so I'm competitive as hell. The only time I have kind of cared about like achievement hunting is there's like on Xbox they have like monthly leaderboards for gamer score. So how much gamer score you've gotten that month compared to all your friends.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
that's the only time I really care about it is I'll just like try to get a bunch of shitty small achievements. Like or I used to do this. I don't really do it anymore, but I try to get like a bunch of small achievements just so I could be at like above my friends on that leaderboard.
Right.
Um and for me, like that competition is a lot more of an incentive than like a badge or like you said, just the gamer score number.
Hmm.
Um, because it's like more smaller term, it's you could have only had an Xbox for a couple months and still be beating your friends on that if you're doing some cool rare stuff. Um, that said, though, like the badges are really cool. I like that you can just like look through like your friend selection, whatever. Like you can just look at someone's profile and immediately see that platinum trophy, and it's a little
Yeah.
bit of a flex, Like
Hmm.
it's just It'd be cool also, like, I don't really know if they'd implement this, but if that would show up like in games too, where if you're playing against someone in Call of Duty or whatever, and then you see a little platinum trophy by the name, you're like, oh damn, it's just like that extra little bit of like flex, I guess. I don't know. It's just kind of fun.
I imagine it would be in game, but yeah, that would
Yeah,
be.
no, I don't know how they'd implement that, but it would be fun if it was something like that. But still though, like just seeing it in the menus or like looking at recent players, having that is definitely neat. Um, but yeah, for me personally, like the only thing with most sort of completionist things, the only thing that will really get me to engage with it is competition. Like Forza Horizon games, they all have this thing where like every time you do like a speed trap challenge or like a danger sign or something, it shows you, okay, that's cool, but here's what all your friends did. So it's like, oh, I only got like 185 miles per hour on this speed trap, like, but my friend got like 190. Like I can absolutely do better than that. I'll do it like 6 times in a row until I finally beat it, and I'm like, okay, sweet, I'm better than you, and then move on. um, and just those little bits of competition are really fun for me. So I do still kind of prefer the way Xbox does it. The My favorite way though is like the badge system on Steam, where on your profile, you can just set like the little badge icons for the different like cool
Yeah.
things you've done. And a lot of those are kind of meaningless, unfortunately. They're like, hey, you participated in this event, which is like, oh, neat. But some of them are cool. Like you look on someone's profile and you're like, oh, that's a cool thing you took part in, or oh, that's a cool thing that you did.
Yeah, I agree. I think Steam does do a really good job with that, and like even the frames that you can use for your profile, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think they're both doing great things. I just like hope that Xbox has a way to put a little thing on your profile other than a number. That's all I'm really saying
Mm-hmm.
here. And
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do agree, like having that competition. I totally forgot about the because I don't have an Xbox right now. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really been looking on the computer, but um I forgot that they do like the monthly competition with Gamerscore. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to say about that. um, I also wanted to talk about the PlayStation 5. They had like a breakdown of like how the insides are all built and put together. Not built, but yeah, put together, and how it all
Mm-hmm.
works, kind of how it's cooled. And they really did a great video on that, and it was really interesting to see. I thought it was really cool. And when I was watching it, I was realizing, man, they actually care about keeping it cool and quiet, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Yeah,
PS4 was
yeah.
super
It's a little
loud
jet
and
engine
hot
PS4.
when you
Yeah.
would play some of the newer games. Yeah, like I think I might have said it already before, but when I was borrowing a friend's PS4 to play The Last of Us Part 2, like I actually had the HDMI cord going around the corner in the other room, and because it was so loud, I couldn't hear the TV. I couldn't hear what the characters were saying. I had to use
Insane.
subtitles, so then I ended up putting the system in the other room, and you could still hear it, but it wasn't
Oh my
like as
gosh.
noticeable. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, no.
So,
Luckily, I have one of the like later generation PS4 Pros, like
mhm.
the or like the later manufactured ones where they kind of fix that issue to some degree. So I haven't really had that problem. But but yeah, no, I've seen videos. It's horrible. I'm glad that they are like putting effort into making that not an issue. Like both systems this gen, like from what we've heard, like are just completely silent, which is nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or nice not to hear.
but we also haven't seen either of them playing a next gen game.
That's true. Yeah. But if they're like um I guess yeah, with PS5 it's just kind of like what they said, but I mean I trust that it's going to be quiet if they're putting that much effort into it.
Hmm.
And with the Series X, like them playing something like Red Dead 2, like a really really intensive current gen game, I don't think a next gen game is going to make it scream like a jet engine if it's completely silent on a current gen game, you know? Like it might be a little bit louder, but I don't see it being like that much louder.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cool seeing the side panels and how easily they can pop off without
Yeah,
any
yeah.
tools needed. And I
Mm.
am very excited to see what kind of customizations people create, out of
Mm-hmm.
these panels. Are they going to put on its side, have like a diorama on the top, I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
I could totally get one side like blue and do like a Wind Waker kind of thing,
Ooh,
just
yeah.
be able to here like get like the boat going right on the
Oh,
top, and
jeez.
just get the boat just like sailing on the top, just a
Yeah,
smaller version. It'd be so awesome. I
that'd
don't
be
even know
so
if my
cool.
volume was loud enough for that actually. But yeah, that'd be so cool.
That'd be so, yeah. No, the customization's awesome. It's like the faceplates on the 360 or something. Um, yeah, no, that definitely does appeal to me too. Like for me, I in the last few months I've gotten really into like modding old iPods, and that's like a similar thing for me that I really enjoy is just customizing it, making it look like something that's my own and not just something really stock.
Hmm. Yeah, like another one I was thinking of was, you could totally laser cut these panels now, or like
Mm,
just cut parts out of it, replace that with like see-through glass, or you could, make
yeah.
this make side of it, replace the whole side with a thing that looks like a wall and have Spider-Man crawling up it or something cool like
Mm,
that. Like I can't wait to see what
mm,
people smarter than me come up with. I think it'll be
yeah,
really neat.
totally. Yeah. So on the teardown video, the one thing I thought is kind of worth mentioning is the way that you can expand storage in the PS5 versus the way that you can expand storage in the Series X. Because I think it was this week or last week when they announced the price on the like memory cards for the Series X, which is
Mm-hmm.
like over $200, and people
Mm-hmm.
were like, there's the general consensus was like, yeah, that makes sense, but kind of sucks. Like that's really expensive, because SSDs are expensive.
Yeah.
And the other thing that people were saying was like it sucks that it's just a proprietary card. Like it sucks that you can't just plug in an SSD and have it work. Which also apparently you actually can play backwards compatible games just through an SSD, which is good to note. But with the
Mm-hmm.
PS5, you can just take it apart and put in a new NVMe SSD, which is interesting because that is a non-proprietary solution. Like that is, you can use any Sony approved SSD in it, which is nice because it allows for more competition as far as prices go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it also I think will be something that not many people actually do, like because for someone like you and me, I don't like, I feel like both of us would be pretty comfortable screwing off a panel and putting something in.
Yeah.
But I think for a fair bit of people who are buying a console, they are not comfortable with that at all. Like they've spent $500 on it, they don't want to accidentally break it.
Or in my
um,
case, 700.
yeah, true. And so I don't know which solution I actually prefer. I think it's just two really interesting takes on it. But also another thing is that a lot of people are saying that the PS5 solution will be a lot cheaper. I don't know if that's the case, because the reality is like the SSDs you're going to be buying that are up to spec for the for like Sony approved SSDs are going to also be like $150 plus. They're going to be very, very, very expensive. The SSD I have in my computer was like 120 or something, and that is, as far as NVMe SSDs go, like kind of on the lower end. So whatever that is, I'm sure it's going to be a lot. I think that the two solutions are interesting. I just think it's cool to see, just as with everything this generation, two companies doing very different things. Like Xbox is
Yep.
very much the convenience of just having this little chip you can plug in. If you can put your games on there, I can bring to my friend's house, plug it in there, and I have all the same games, you know? Um, and Sony going for a maybe more practical solution, but something that requires, or something that just is less convenient. It's interesting to see different takes. I like it.
Yeah, and like when it comes down to it, everybody's different. They
Hmm.
cannot make a system for everyone.
Yeah.
Regardless, even if you end up with just 600 gigabytes available space on the PS5, like
Hmm.
for me, I don't care. That's totally fine. If I can store 5 games or 4 games on my console, I am not playing more than 4 games. I'm not even playing 4 games at a time
Yeah,
usually,
yeah.
right? I can understand if you want to keep a multiplayer one on there and then have a couple single
Hmm.
players or a single player and a co-op. But for me, I try to stick
Hmm.
with at the most a multiplayer game, a single player game, and a co-op game that I'll play with my brother or someone, right?
Hmm.
I feel like that's the busiest I want to be when it comes to playing a game. Because
Hmm.
if I'm playing a
Hmm.
single player one, I want to go one at a time. I want to complete it. I want to finish it and feel like I'm
Hmm.
done with it. So, like right now, for example, this November, I want to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I want to play Cyberpunk. I want to play Demon's Souls. But I am probably going to wait and get Demon Souls in December, even though I'm going to have the PS5 earlier, just because I can
Mm-hmm.
play. If I have an itch, I'll just play Bloodborne or an older game on my
Yeah,
PS5,
yeah.
and I'm going to stick with Cyberpunk for now. I'll play Assassin's Creed Valhalla in the further future when it goes on sale. I'm not in a huge rush to play it, but I want to play it. But yeah, I know everyone's different, and like that's my situation with the PS5 is I don't need a yeah, I feel comfortable replacing or adding a new SSD into it, but I'm never gonna have to put more than 4 games on this thing at a time,
Yeah.
especially when I have a
And I
PC that I
think,
play most of my stuff on.
yeah, I also think people might be exaggerating a bit the size of games next gen, because like current gen, a lot of people have this idea that it's like 150 gigs is like the standard for current gen games, and that's not true at all. Like when you download most AAA games, they're like 50, 60 gigabytes.
Hmm.
And like yes, there are lots of 100 gigabyte games nowadays with like Red Dead or Cyberpunk or Call of Duty or whatever. But I think those are more the exception. And I think you will be able to get a lot more than 4 or 5 games on this console. Like on my 1 terabyte Xbox, I have maybe 15 or 20 at a time. And a lot of those, I do play a lot of indies, so a lot of those are smaller games, but there's also probably still 6 or 7 plus um, AAA games on there, and they're always, and I never really go above 80% storage on there.
Hmm.
And I think next gen, yes, sizes will increase to some degree. The good news is that CPUs are getting better, which means compression is going to get a lot better. And with larger texture sizes and file sizes is also going to be like, when those can get compressed smaller, it means the size growth isn't going to be as exponential as I think some people are expecting. Um, but
Well,
even then,
well,
if
even with that, the consoles aren't going to get a better CPU though, right?
the consoles, yeah, they have like a significantly better CPU than current gen.
Yes, they do right now for sure. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like you were talking about the future. I was saying they're not going to continually get better CPUs
No, I
as
mean, the Series
yeah.
X versus the One X. Like the Series
Gotcha.
X has a much better CPU and thus can decompress games much better and much faster. Um,
I
and
understand.
so with these better compression techniques, and also we already kind of are in the 4K age, and I don't think we're gonna go up to 8K. So I don't see file sizes growing that much. I think at most 100 gigabytes is going to be the standard, and even then, that still gives you 7, 8 games on the system, and that, like you said, is plenty. That's probably more than I'll ever need. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a rant. It's been something that's kind of bugging me. I hear so many on bigger websites talking about like, oh, only fitting like 4 games on this, but I feel like that just really
Hmm.
isn't true.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's silly. I think it's
Hmm.
a lot of people feeling like they deserve to be able to store everything everywhere. It's like, you know what? If if you want to have everything available instantly, have the physical version of everything. If you want to go digital,
Hmm.
you have to have some sacrifice there. It's just there's only so much
Hmm.
space,
Hmm.
and yeah, you can at least with the Xbox, you can put your stuff on an external drive and play your backwards compatible games on there. Probably would rather not, but you have the option. The thing is, there's options. They might not be the exact
Hmm.
option you want, but there's options. I think that I really want to just have a couple of games on my PS5, and then I'll be playing most of my stuff on PC anyway. So
Hmm.
really, PS5 is just going to have my exclusives, and
Hmm.
that's basically it. What I was going
Hmm.
to say also about in regards to what you were saying about compression, Unreal Engine 5 could be a real benefit when it comes to file sizes, though, if it's true that you just need your one 3D model and you don't need all these different LOD
Oh, I
sized
actually think it'll
models.
be the opposite, to be
Really?
completely honest.
You think
Yeah,
it'll be
so
just a super high
yeah, well
file
the
size?
issue with that is the the big benefit is usually when you're creating a model for a game. This is actually something I do feel
I,
qualified to
I
talk
know
about. A
this
lot
is
of the time
perfect.
I'm
This is
kind of
what I was
talking out my
hoping.
ass.
I was wanting this. Good, good.
So
Explain.
so when you're creating a model for a game, okay, let me take it back. When you're creating a model in general, if you're like sculpting a character model, there's like so many different triangles or polygons in that. And when you're making that a game, you basically make a much lower res version, and then you bake all that detail from the original model onto there, which it's a much simpler model than in game, basically. And what Unreal 5 does is it lets you just use that super complex model right into the game. And while that's really, really great from a development standpoint, because you don't have to go through all those compression techniques to get a really complex model to run real time, you're still using a really complex, really high poly model, which means the file size is going to be pretty big on those. So like the poly counts for next gen is, I think, where the file sizes are going to increase quite a bit. And even then though, like that is what Unreal 5 is advertising. I still think game developers are going to be using those compression techniques. I still think they are going to be baking that detail. But yeah, like what that does is I'm trying to think of a way to describe it that in like lay terms is it's basically just taking workload away from the artist, but does have the trade-off, I think, of larger file sizes. But the workload it takes off the artist and the stuff it can do as far as detail is insane.
It is
I didn't
insane.
get a chance to talk about it on the podcast, but like Unreal 5 from an artist standpoint is like will be a game changer. Even things like close-up shots in game cutscenes are always really tough. Like that's why you never really see extreme close-up shots in games, because like if you remember the opening of Half-Life 2, actually I don't think you played Half-Life, never mind. But like it's this really close up of G-Man's face. Yeah. It's this really close up of G-Man's face, and it looks bad because it's like 2 inches from his face, and you're like, oh, I can see every pixel in his texture. But when it's that sort of dynamic level of detail where like, or fingers are also like that, you see a finger up close in a game and it looks really gross and blocky, but it looks fine from far away. But if you have that level of detail that scales, then when you're really up close, like the fingers, you can see all the detail in the cuticles and stuff, but when you're far away, it's a lot lower poly. So I think I'm sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. I think
it's great.
I think
completely
Unreal 5
understand
is
everything you're saying.
so game changing for like cutscenes, especially. I think like one of the great achievements of The Last of Us 2, I thought, was how good their close-up shots looked. I don't actually know how they achieved that, to be honest. It's kind of just magic. The way that like the faces still look so good, even when they're really, really close to the camera.
Whips, lots of whips.
But I think, yeah.
Just kidding.
but I think Unreal 5 is going to make the sort of magic from that game be really feasible for anyone.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. Even though I don't do that stuff as much, I have an understanding of it, and as soon as I saw all that Unreal Engine 5 tech demo stuff, I was like, man, this is going to be nice. This is going to make making games slightly easier, but also like much faster to make certain parts of it, at least.
Totally.
That's going to be really cool to see. Definitely save a lot of time. I'm glad to get some of your insight on that, since that's something that you put a lot of time and effort into. That was what I was hoping for. What else here? Well, we got a little bit of time left. I think we should just quickly touch on our plans here for the Game Awards, because that's coming up. It's December 10th, I believe, is when the event happens. And you and I have been talking offline a bit about what our kind of goals are for that, because we definitely want to do something, because it would be really fun. Totally. For everyone watching, we intend on, actually I should get the right page up so I'm not promising anything that I should be. We are planning on doing, once all the nominees get announced for the Game Awards, we're going to kind of look over what games won last year. We're also going to make our own predictions on who we think will win, and also who we want to win. So it's a little bit of both, where we can just kind of say, yeah, I want this one to win this category, but also I'm guessing it's going to be this one, though, because our opinion might not be the popular one.
Yeah.
The other thing we're going to do is we will stream. We'll both be on our own channels on at yours is Ziggy Hickson, right? On Twitch, or is it a different name?
Yeah, TTV Ziggy Hickson.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. I know there's one thing that maybe it's just our Discord that's different, but it's like throwing me off. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, perfect. And then me on Nicolobe, at Nicolobe at Twitch. We're gonna both stream, co-stream the Game Awards, and then we'll both have our own video feed and kind of be chatting with each other during the event. So you can watch on either Ziggy's channel or mine, and it'll just be kind of a fun time to just kind of experience all that together. You know, we'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll do all that. And maybe we'll do like a fast food award in the new year. So in the new year, in January, we haven't decided.
Fuel Game of the Year.
What was that?
Mountain Dew Game Fuel Game of the Year.
Exactly. In January, we're going to give our games of the year, our own personal opinion, on who we think would win, or what our game is, not who would win. Sorry, I'm messing this all up. So January comes, we're gonna give our opinion on who would win different categories. We're gonna pick and choose a few of them, and also our game of the year at the end. So maybe we won't give that part, I guess, now that I'm saying this out loud. Once the nominees are revealed, we're not going to want to give that part, because we're already kind of given who you think should win.
Yeah, I mean, that's just within those nominees, though, I think.
Yeah, good. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. That is within the nominees. So January, we'll be taking everything into consideration, whatever we want. And yeah, we'll go over that later. That'll firm up a little bit closer to the date, too. But these are our plans so far going forward. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it for what we're going to do for Game Awards. But I'm excited for that. I'm excited to watch that with you, Zig, and be able to experience whatever exciting things happen. And hopefully there's something Elden Ring related. Man, I want something Elden Ring related. Either Elden Ring or Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. That, if there's none of those, it's a fail. It's a 0 out of 100.
I think Breath of the Wild 2 is actually really likely, honestly. Nintendo and the Game Awards have a good relationship. Yep. But that's for the predictions episode. We're not talking about that yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, Zig, do you have anything you want to talk about? I guess we have to discuss our game club game. Man, I am just falling apart here at the end. I started strong, but I wish I could blame it on something. So we've been talking about our I guess we'll talk about. Do you want to just take it from here? I'll just stop talking. Here, Zig, you go.
All right. So you want me to give my impressions of the game first?
Yes. What were we playing?
So we were playing Crossing Souls, which was published by Devolver and developed by
Foratic,
a little indie studio known as Foratic.
Yes,
I knew that right off the top of my head. I didn't look that up.
I remembered.
That's a lie. So I didn't really like it. I'm gonna be honest.
How much did you play?
I played probably 3 hours of it.
Okay.
I got decently into it, enough to the point where I felt like I knew what the game was and where the story was going. And so are we just gonna talk spoilers on it, or do you want to do like spoiler-free impressions and then spoiler impressions, just in case people want to play it?
I guess spoiler free. Just our impressions of how we're feeling about it.
Okay.
Maybe you can talk about...
I do want to go into spoilers though, because there's some stuff that really irked me about it that is spoilers, but I want to talk about.
Spoiler warning for anybody who actually watches or listens to this.
In case you want to play Crossing Souls, I would not recommend it, but if you do, then more power to you. So for me, my main issue with the game was I came in and I expected it to be just kind of a cute and fun like brawler, which it wasn't. And it was really, really text heavy. Like there was a lot of story and a lot of reading.
Yeah.
And I would have been fine with that if the writing was actually good, but it wasn't. Like it was kind of bad. So the number one thing that gets me is like 45 minutes in, you're like the main character's little brother just randomly dies. It's the weirdest shit. Like it comes out of nowhere. I was watching like, okay, and then maybe 10 minutes later, they revive him from the dead and he becomes a gameplay mechanic. So they just completely cut out all weight that brings. And there's a lot of weird moments like that just kind of throughout where it's like just really random stuff that doesn't fit like the tone that they're trying to go for. Because it does seem to be very like nostalgic 80s fun. But then it will try to bring up something there's a trailer park zone, which was weird because you go in and it's basically just making fun of poor people the whole time, which I didn't really love. But But other than that, like, is they do that, and then later on, there's a character who makes fun of the party members from the trailer park, and they're like, "Oh, you're just from a trailer park. What do you know?" And you're like, "Oh, he's bad because he doesn't like her because she's from the trailer park." But it's like that's what you did, like literally 20 minutes ago. You're making fun of people for living in a trailer park. Like you can't have that double standard. It was like the writing. There's just so much, right? Like so much text to the point where it was boring, and none of it was really particularly good.
Mhm.
I think if they just cut out all of that and made the story very much just like a guiding you from zone to zone, and then had it just be like, because the gameplay was fun. I actually really liked the brawling stuff. There's some encounters that I thought worked really well. Like there's one specifically where there was like these zombie enemies that blew up when you hit them and damaged you, so you had to like kill them and then sort of dodge roll away to get rid of that. But then there's also ranged enemies, so you had to like use kind of dancing in between close range and long range and trying to like figure out the distance so you didn't get damage, and that was really really fun. And if there was just more of that really tight sort of brawler stuff, I would have actually probably really enjoyed it. But
Right.
because it was so story focused and the story wasn't really particularly good in my opinion, it just felt kind of boring. What about you though?
Well, I like I said, addicted to Genshin Impact, and I ended up playing a half hour yesterday, so hardly anything. I wanted to play at least an hour, and then next thing I knew, end of yesterday, right before dinner, I'm like, oh, I only got a bit of time. Well, and I threw oh, actually, no, you know what? I remember I planned to play yesterday afternoon, and
Mhm.
3 o'clock came, or it was like 2 or 3, whatever. Time doesn't matter, but I went to play, and no joke, I got my recording stuff all set up. I was going to do a little video or a little recording and put it on YouTube, be like, well,
Mhm.
that's my first impressions of it, and then just kind of direct this show and direct everyone there.
Mhm.
But I took a deep breath and went, and then the power went out. And I'm not
Oh
even
my
joking. I swear
god.
to God, it went out, and I just turned around, walked out of the room, went, "Hey Tay,"
Oh,
like
that's so
I just
frustrating.
was about to start my recording because she was just getting ready, and she's sitting in there, she's working from home, and she's like tapping the keys at her computer, like, "What happened?"
Mhm.
I said so.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then I waited, and it was like around 6 that we got the power back, and then I had to make
Mhm.
dinner and everything, and then after that, I was like, "Okay, I'll play about an hour." Started it, and then like 20 minutes in I was bored, and I was like, I can see
Yeah.
what is interesting about this game. I liked the I thought I was gonna like the pixel art, but I
Mhm.
actually started in my video, like, and I'm not gonna post it, it was just terrible, I just wasn't into it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
in my video, like, I actually walked into walls a couple times because I thought it looked like a pathway,
Yeah, it
and I'd
was
be like,
hard
what,
to
how am I
read.
supposed to get out of here? Oh, that door's open,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I kept walking into walls
Mhm.
and be like, that looks like the street. And there's this one point where it was a gray road, and then it goes, and then it's
Mhm.
like a line and a slightly more gray, and and I just walk into a wall. It's like, oh, it just looked like it was more road. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a lot of looping around and walking in circles, and then I realized, yeah, you're supposed to talk and read a whole bunch. And I started out by just reading everything
Mhm.
out loud, and I was like, oh, I'm getting tired of this.
Yeah,
So
you just kind of like
then
the whole video.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically
No,
the part that was the thing for me. I was just like,
sorry.
is this going to be fun? Is this going to be something that I'm going to be really into wanting to continue later? Because obviously it's not something I'm
Mhm.
wanting to jump on right now, but I was like, this could be something I want to play later. And ultimately it's just a game that I would play if I had nothing else to play, because
Mhm.
I think the combat was interesting, or I liked what they were starting to do. I just like got all the different like team members, and then I was like, yeah, I see what they're doing. They have like these menu screens, they have your different abilities that each character can do. I can see what they're going to
Mhm.
do with stamina up at the top and your hearts, and you have all that stuff. I was like, okay, I kind of get the
Yeah.
idea, but it seemed very, yeah, story heavy and encouraging you to walk around and find the person to talk to or where to go next. And I was like, I don't know if I want to spend my time
Yeah.
right now this evening doing that. So I
Yeah.
ultimately stopped a
Another
half hour
thing.
in.
Yeah, another thing I actually forgot to mention. I don't know how is this game takes so much inspiration from like 80s and 90s media without having any understanding of why it actually works. Like I think I was playing it with my partner in the room, and I
Hmm.
opened it up and like 10 seconds in I went, oh, it's Earthbound. Like I said that out loud because like you do the thing where you're a kid at home and then you talk to your parents, and they're like, oh, goodbye, we love you, and you get a baseball bat as your first weapon, and your
Mm-hmm.
dog's name is Sparky, which is the same name as the dog from Earthbound. Like it
It
was
is.
so clear.
How do
I
you
think so.
remember
I think
that?
that's the default name. Yeah. I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm impressed.
I looked it up. I was like, is that the dog from Earthbound? Like, I feel like it is, and apparently it is. But like, it was just so obviously trying to be Earthbound. But like, the thing that makes Earthbound so great is how little dialogue there is in it. I guess like the story, like a really good example is the gang in like the first area in Earthbound, the sharks. You know, like you fucking hate them. Like 5 seconds in, they're these bastards. Like they kill you every 2 seconds. They're so hard to beat when you're under leveled, and so they just follow you around town, like chasing you, beating you up, and it sucks. And you start to really, really hate them because of that, but it's fun. And then when you finally start to be able to take them down and like beat their leader and stuff and sort of take them over, it feels so satisfying. Whereas in this game, they just sort of have the leader show up and he's fun, like he has a cool character design, and they just sort of tell you that he's bad and tell you that you should hate him, which is just not as effective as like making you actually hate them through organic reasons, you know.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing, like it just did a lot of things from Earthbound. There was sort of like a Stand By Me portion for like 5 seconds where what am I saying? It like, yeah, it did the set up in Stand By Me where they find a dead body and they're like, let's go find the dead body, and then 5 seconds later they find it and then they're like, we're men now, and then they move on. And it was like just a reference to it that was like, that felt so weird and ham-fisted. It almost felt like as if I tried to make a game about the 80s as someone who didn't grow up in it and only really understands the 80s through media, if that makes sense.
Because, like if I was to make a game about the 80s.
Yeah. Like, but it, I don't know. It like, it really felt like the person who made it, their only understanding of the 80s was through media. And through that, like its portrayal of the era just felt sort of disingenuous. Like it just felt like it was only really made up of movie references and game references and stuff, instead of like, compared to something like Stranger Things, who did a very similar sort of tone piece and story wise thing, where
I see what you're saying.
Solving sort of a paranormal story, but it felt so genuine, you know, like not just in the music and the aesthetic, but also like the very like the social issues, and having like Billy from season 2, I thought was really great. The way that he like sort of had to deal with his masculinity and like wanting to be cool, but also like his dad thinks he's stupid because of that, and like all like those really like sort of raw social issues from the era that make it feel genuine to what it's trying to portray just weren't present here at all. It was just sort of like a rose tinted glasses. I don't know how to describe it.
I don't know though. I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit harsh on. Just because
I might be,
I don't know, for Stranger Things, I mean, yeah, it's fiction, both things are fiction and everything, but like it just depends if that's the focus, if that's the goal, right? Like if it's not the goal, then who's to say it's a fail, right? I don't know, but I'm just saying it just might not be what someone's looking for in the game.
That might be it. For me, I just felt like the way that it only really portrayed the 80s through like culture references just didn't really do it for me. It felt like a little ham-fisted. But yeah, I guess that's a good way of saying it. I probably should have thought that might appeal to someone else. My biggest issue with the game though is just the amount of text in it. Like very quickly I found myself just mashing through the dialogue. Just to get to more gameplay.
Yeah, that's where I agree. I was just looking for a game that was fun. And if it had more to it that like impressed me, great. But I was like,
totally.
Clearly, this is fun. And I thought, you know what? I could see this combat being fun. Like I only fought the rats at the beginning. That's the only things I fought. But I was like, I don't like that you can only dodge up, down, left, and right. Like I wish there was omnidirectional kind of dodge rule. Like I understand you want the game to look old, but it doesn't have to play old. And for me, I was kind of disappointed by that. But I thought it was cool. There was stamina when you attack, jump. Everything else, but yeah, I ultimately was like, you know what, unless this was you enter one screen, you're fighting a bunch of guys, you enter the next screen, fight a bunch of other people, and then enter the next screen, like that would be a game that I would find fun. But it would just be a pick up put down thing. But this was too much text for me, not interesting enough text, and wanted to start mashing through it after reading a bunch of it out loud at the beginning. So yeah, well oh, sorry.
So the next game for next week also we should talk about is going to be Observation, which is also on Game Pass. You can play along with us if you would like. Published by Devolver Digital again. it looks cool. It's it's as if like it's like a sci-fi story, but you essentially play as like HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey. So you're looking at everything through like a camera from an AI. It looks super neat.
Yeah, I have it up on the
Um,
screen now. Uh,
awesome.
yeah, it looks really interesting. I haven't.
Hmm.
It should have adjusted the volume. Yep, it seems good. I'm playing. Oh, that's VR. That's not what I want. Let's check this. Maybe this is the exact same video. Yep. But
Yeah.
I want to watch this because I haven't seen a trailer for this in a little while.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. No, but I have a little bit, or this one I think is a little bit more of a known quantity. Like I've heard people say that this game's really good. I just haven't. I don't really know much about it myself, so
that's what's going
I'm
to be so
excited to jump
fun.
in. Yeah.
It
In
looks.
the like the aesthetic and tone of it seems really appealing to me personally, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, it seems like you're just going to be you're switching between cameras, and you know if that's like is that what we're assuming? It's just like you're playing as video cameras
Yeah,
essentially.
I think so. You play as like the ship's AI, like
Yeah,
helping its crewmates essentially.
actually observing things. That looks
Yeah,
cool. Like big storm top of Saturn or
yeah.
something. That's
The art in
cool.
this game looks awesome. Yeah.
I'm actually like more excited for that one personally um than even the the previous one we just played, the Crossing Souls. It's like
Yeah. No, me too.
Crossing Souls looked cool though. It just yeah, it didn't
Hmm.
I don't I don't know.
I like the 2D cutscenes in it. Also, I should mention that there was like the trailer, was all in 2D and it looked really cool. There
Yep.
were actually moments in the game that were animated like that, and all those I thought were super charming and stylish.
Well, that's good. I that was the thing
Hmm.
that I think mostly drew us in were the were those cutscenes
Yeah.
in the trailer. But yeah, I think we'll end it here today. Um, Zig, do you have anything you want to say before I do the whole rigmarole and end this?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitch. I stream pretty much every Friday now, Thursday or Friday. I'm gonna be going live in a few hours after this. You can watch the VOD once this goes up. Gonna be playing some Rocket League. That's kind of my main thing right now. You can find me on Instagram also at Ziggy Hickson or at ZHicksArt. If you want my main or my art stuff. Those are my main channels. Yeah, stay tuned. I got some cool stuff coming.
So cool. I am
Thank
excited.
you.
uh, and yeah, me, I'm Nick Loeb at everything. um, what I want to say before we go is Ziggy, I really appreciate you doing this with me. Like the fact
Yeah,
that
no
we've been
problem.
able to
It's
do
fun.
this together is so cool. Like for anyone who
Hmm.
watches or listens, like this is my cousin who lives in a different country, and I
Hmm.
like even though he's been to my wedding and like we've known each other more or less known of each other more or less growing up. It's just crazy that we're finally able to connect
Hmm.
now over something that we love, like the video game industry and just video games in general, and
Hmm.
be able to just connect and do a little podcast show like this. So I just love it. I really appreciate that we're able to stick to it every Friday, and because there's life happens and things can always pop up, we can always push it aside if we wanted to, but we care enough that we're doing this every week, and I think that's really cool. And so enough of that, enough of the sappy stuff, but
No, no. I mean, I feel the same way. Like it's been, like, being able to connect over something like this has been super fun, and making this every week is awesome. Yeah.
mhm. So this has been Screen Peeking. You can find us every Friday, or I guess it's Saturday. Damn it, I already messed it up. You can find us every Saturday at 7 a.m. on YouTube or on iTunes or Spotify. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye. I'll stop my recording.